This is what you would see if it wasn't for the hard-working volunteers at Channel 10. But thanks to their great effort, this is what you get.
The fact that Nelson has the highest proportion of artists and craftspeople per capita in BC, and the community's support and desire for arts education add up to a strong argument that Nelson be the home of a provincially funded BC Interior Art School. All the knowledge gained from the previous closures can now be put to use to ensure that the new KSA is structured in such a way that it has a fair chance of survival. With the support of the community, that's all it really needs.
Like the very informal teaching, and it's as if you were coming home to somebody's house and learning from an aunt or someone like that.
I think we're looking at the equivalent of 150 full-time jobs in the area of working artisans. And what's disturbing to me about that is that in looking around, I don't see in the galleries that I'm dealing with and talking to other artisans, there are very, very few people working who are under the age of 40. There seems to be a big gap, and so that primarily for me, that's disturbing from a cultural society point of view. I think it should be disturbing to the government also on an economic level if you have 150 people working, for instance, in a region like this in the arts, and there aren't any young people coming up. It's like not having the people, it's like a sawmill that's going under.
Well, I see KSA as being not fully developed. It still has a lot of rough edges to it in terms of just the mechanics of getting that school together. We've had to move into locations for our drawing classes, which were totally inappropriate for that class, but it was the best they could do under the circumstances. And I think that's just symptoms of being a school getting off the ground. It certainly has the potential. It would be nice to design a building specifically for art.
It's lineage and mentor system are two sort of compatible ways of teaching. For me, in my field, we don't have a very formalized training system. I often think it's because the investment in studio-based teaching is a heavy one for a school with a wider teaching base to absorb. And so one of the things that we've often had to do in textiles is to seek out people who know what we want to know and stick with them until we've got it all, and then go on. And we pass that on to the students. In my case, I can trace my lineage back a couple of generations, and I know from students' work that I've seen that it will go forward.
I think KSA is a wonderful thing. It's the people around here are the greatest resource that's in the Kootenays. You know, they don't wear out. You can't clear cut them, and I'm sure there's more people doing more interesting things here per population than anywhere.
We want to make sure that one or two things are non-negotiable. First of all, autonomy. No matter what happens as a result of the community, the commission, whatever possibility is the result of it, whether it's an independent art school, whether it's an art school which is connected with the Nelson University Center, whether it's an art school connected with Selkirk College, whether it's a brand new university, whatever results we insist will have an autonomous KSA.
Well, I was on faculty at David Thompson University Center here in the early 1980s, and I was part of the faculty that taught writing. And then when David Thompson was shut down in 1984, I was part of the group in Vancouver that wanted to go on and keep alive the kind of innovative programming that we had developed here in Nelson. So we formed a thing called the Kootenay School of Writing in Vancouver, which really attempted to reproduce and go further as a post-secondary facility for writing. I moved back to the Kootenays in 1989, and this year when the Kootenay School of the Arts was formed, they asked me if I would teach the writing course this fall, which I was very pleased to do so, because I really believe in Nelson as a site for post-secondary education in the arts, just because I was privileged to have a taste of what we had here in the early 1980s, and so I know it works, and I know this is the right place for it. So I was really happy to be part of the beginnings of KSA.
After 7 months of organizing and planning by volunteers, Kootenay School of the Arts offered 3 courses to the public in the fall of 1991. Tom Wayman's writing course, Judith MacKenzie's Introduction to Textiles, and the drawing course instructed by Phyllis Margolin, Robert Inwood, and Elf Crossley were all fully subscribed, 50 students in total, with 27 more on the waiting list. In the winter 1992 semester, KSA offered 8 more courses, and with registration still underway, more than 80 new students have enrolled. That's over 130 students in KSA's first year of operations. However, everyone involved realizes that there is only so much that can be accomplished by a volunteer-driven organization. To realize their goals, to offer quality instruction from respected artists in a proper facility, and to regain the international reputation of the original KSA, they require funding from the provincial government. KSA operated as a successful art education institution with an international reputation from 1960 to its amalgamation with DTUC in 1979. Unfortunately, that amalgamation, though seemingly logical at the time, proved to be KSA's death warrant, when DTUC was closed by the provincial government 5 years later. By funding KSA, the provincial government would be bringing back the majority of DTUC's programs. While the terms university and DTUC are often seen as synonymous, in fact, 75% of DTUC programming was in the arts: music, theater, writing, visual arts, graphics, photography, creative woodworking. Selkirk College still offers the woodworking course, and they now have a new music course in Nelson. With reasonable funding and the community support, KSA can once again offer the other arts programs that DTUC's closures took away.
That drawing course would be a better drawing course than you could get at any of the established art schools right now. I think it would be very unusual to have access to 4 people with working full-time in an area with 20 to 40 years experience.
What we want to incorporate into our teaching style. It's very important for us to know that students have a good, strong physical base in their knowledge, that they learn with their hearts and their hands as well as their head.
These are people of national and international caliber. They have a track record in terms not only of their art, but of their ability to teach, because it's not enough to be an artist if you can't convey the, pedagogically what it is to make art. So these people are able to show, their credentials are their work, but they also have teaching experience.
They learned in a way that I never did when I was a writing student, say at UBC. They learned that the issues or problems in one art form have their parallels in other art forms, representation versus non-representation, and 1,000 other issues. So they grew as writers. and they grew as people too with that exposure. So that to other artistic disciplines. So that's what I'd love to see happen at KSA.
Programs in the arts, which in essence are all about communication, are needed more in our country today than ever.
We will never be closed down again by outsiders.